Most people never fail because of lack of talent, lack of money, or lack of ideas. They fail because of fear. Fear is silent. It does not shout, it whispers. It whispers hesitation when you should move. It whispers doubt when you should believe. It whispers delay when you should act. And in those whispers, entire futures are stolen. Think of the countless times you had an idea, a dream, or an opportunity right in front of you. You felt the spark, you imagined the outcome, you even knew the first step. But then fear arrived. It wrapped its cold hand around your decision and whispered, "Wait." You waited one day, then 1 week, then 1 year. Suddenly, the chance was gone. Someone else acted. Someone else took what could have been yours. Fear killed your success before failure ever had the chance. Napoleon Hill warned that fear is man's greatest enemy. Not failure. Not rejection. Fear alone has stopped more men than failure ever will. Fear freezes the strong, paralyzes the intelligent, and chains the ambitious. And here is the cruel truth: while you are standing still, trapped in fear, someone else is moving forward. They are not smarter, they are not luckier, they are simply fearless in action. They move, and the world rewards them. You hesitate, and the world forgets you. But there is a different path. A path where you kill fear before it kills your dream. A path where you act in spite of doubt, where you face the shadows and realize they were illusions all along. Imagine this: the life you want, the wealth you desire, the freedom you seek, they are all on the other side of fear. The only bridge is action. And once you take that first step, the shadow of fear begins to dissolve in the light of discipline. This video is not about ignoring fear. It is about destroying it. It is about learning how to face it, break it, and replace it with unstoppable confidence. In the next few minutes, you will discover how to silence fear's whispers, how to use discipline as your weapon, and how to create success where others only saw obstacles. By the end, you will have one truth burned into your mind: fear is not real power. Action is. And if you are ready to kill fear, then you are ready to create success. Fear is the unseen jailer of human potential. It is not the storm you can see coming, it is the invisible chain wrapped around your will, pulling you back when your spirit longs to leap forward. Fear makes the strong man hesitate. Fear makes the clever woman doubt. Fear makes the ambitious youth waste years in silence, convincing themselves they are not ready. And in that pause, success slips away. Think of a man who dreams of starting a business. He studies, he plans, he imagines his product changing lives. The idea excites him. But when the moment to act arrives, fear enters. Fear whispers, "What if you fail? What will people think? What if you lose everything?" He listens, he delays, he perfects his plan again and again until another person launches the same idea, gains the reward, and becomes the leader he could have been. The man tells himself, "I was being careful," but the truth is simpler: fear killed his future. Or think of the student who has an opportunity to speak up in a class, to share an idea that could shape her career. She knows the answer. She has prepared. Yet when the professor calls for opinions, her hand does not rise. Fear whispers, "What if you are wrong? What if they laugh?" She stays silent, and her chance to shine disappears. Later, she watches others gain recognition while she hides behind her own doubts. Fear costs not just opportunities but entire lives. Napoleon Hill described drifters, those who wander without purpose, as prisoners of fear. They allow fear to decide for them. They choose the job they hate because fear tells them security is safer than freedom. They stay in relationships that drain them because fear tells them loneliness is worse. They never travel, never try, never risk, because fear whispers that the unknown is danger, not possibility. And so they drift, year after year, into quiet misery. The price of fear is not only lost dreams but lost time. Time is the most precious currency we possess. You can recover money, but you cannot recover years. Every day lived in hesitation is a day you cannot reclaim. Imagine the man who waits a year to act, then 5 years, then a decade. Suddenly, he is middle-aged, looking back on a mountain of what-ifs and somedays. His power is gone, not because he lacked ability, but because fear stole his time. Fear also breeds regret. The bitter kind that wakes you at night and whispers, "You could have done more." Fear leaves you watching others succeed while you stand on the sidelines, applauding the courage you never claimed for yourself. Regret is the echo of fear's victory. And perhaps the greatest cost of fear is identity. Each time you choose safety over courage, you reinforce the belief that you are small, fragile, incapable. You train your mind to see yourself as weak. Soon, you no longer believe in your own strength. You become the very image of fear, hesitant, doubtful, powerless. The truth is, fear is expensive. It costs wealth, it costs freedom, it costs respect, and it costs self-belief. And if left undefeated, it will cost you your life, not in death, but in wasted potential. Napoleon Hill wrote that fear is the tool by which people are controlled, the invisible weapon that enslaves the mind. When you bow to fear, you hand over your will. You become a drifter, and the world rewards the fearless while forgetting you. That is the pain of fear. It does not kill you in a moment, it bleeds you slowly, stealing dreams, one hesitation at a time. And unless you learn to kill fear, you will never create success. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Fear is man's greatest enemy. It stops more men than failure ever will." This sentence is not poetry, it is diagnosis. It reveals a law of life. Failure is not the true killer of dreams. Fear is. Failure at least comes after effort. It carries lessons, experience, and often seeds of future victory. Fear, however, kills before effort begins. Fear ensures that the seed is never planted, that the idea never sees daylight. Hill identified 6 basic fears that enslave the human mind: the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love, the fear of old age, and the fear of death. These fears sit at the root of hesitation, excuses, and drifting. Each time a person thinks, "What if I lose my money? What if people laugh? What if I am too old?" they are bowing to one of these 6 fears. Hill's insight was not just to name them, but to show that they are illusions magnified by the imagination. Fear makes shadows larger than they are. Consider the fear of criticism. Many people do not pursue their dream because they dread what others might say. But Napoleon Hill warned that those who live by fear of opinion never lead, they only follow. Criticism cannot kill you. But fear of criticism can kill your future. Or take the fear of poverty. Hill observed that countless men stay in jobs they despise, trapped not by chains but by fear of losing a paycheck. They trade their freedom for a sense of safety. Yet history shows that wealth flows not to those who cling to safety, but to those who take calculated risks. Fear of poverty does not prevent loss, it guarantees a small, limited life. Hill's principle is clear: fear exists in the mind, and the mind can be trained. He taught that fear thrives in idle, drifting minds but loses power in focused, disciplined ones. When the mind has a definite purpose, backed by daily action, fear has no room to grow. It is starved of attention. Like a weed in the dark, it withers when the light of action shines. This is why Hill emphasized definiteness of purpose. A person with a clear goal and a burning desire acts in spite of fear. They recognize fear as an illusion, a signal to move forward, not a wall to stop them. Hill wrote that every adversity carries with it the seed of equal or greater benefit. That includes fear. The presence of fear is not proof you should stop, it is proof you are near something important, something that matters enough to test your courage. The principle is this: fear cannot be destroyed by thought alone. It is destroyed by disciplined action. You cannot think your way out of fear, you must act your way through it. Each act of courage chips away at fear's hold. Each step forward builds confidence. Confidence becomes power. And power, repeated daily, creates success. Hill's wisdom is not gentle, it is commanding. He did not write to soothe, he wrote to awaken. When he said fear is man's greatest enemy, he was not exaggerating. He meant that fear will steal your money, your time, your freedom, and your self-respect unless you decide to master it. And the only way to master it is to act in spite of it. Remember this truth: fear is not a wall, it is a mirage. The moment you walk toward it, it dissolves. What remains is opportunity, waiting for the fearless. There are two roads in life, and every man must choose. One is ruled by fear, the other by discipline. One leads to drifting, excuses, and regret. The other leads to growth, strength, and success. Napoleon Hill described drifters as those who surrender their will to fear. They never steer their own ship. Instead, they are pushed by the winds of doubt, carried by the tide of excuses, and stranded in harbors of wasted years. Picture the drifter. He wakes each morning with a weight in his chest. He knows he wants more from life, but fear speaks first. Fear tells him to stay in the job he hates because it feels safe. Fear tells him not to ask for the opportunity because rejection would sting. Fear tells him not to speak up, not to risk, not to try. And so he shrinks. He goes through the motions, living but not alive. Years pass. His dreams gather dust. His potential decays in silence. He convinces himself he is being realistic, but in truth he is being ruled. Fear is his master, and his obedience costs him everything. Now picture the disciplined man. He feels fear too, because all humans do. But when fear whispers, he does not obey. When fear says, "You might fail," he answers, "I might, but I will try." When fear says, "People will laugh," he says, "Let them laugh, I will grow." When fear says, "Stay safe," he says, "I was not born for safety, I was born for strength." His fear becomes fuel. Each action he takes weakens its grip. Each victory, however small, proves to his mind that fear is a liar. The drifter's life is defined by avoidance. He avoids risk, avoids criticism, avoids discomfort. But in avoiding these, he also avoids success. He thinks he is escaping pain, but he is creating a deeper pain, the pain of regret. He looks at others who dared, who acted, who built, and he wonders why his life feels so small. The answer is simple: he bowed to fear. The disciplined man's life is defined by courage. Not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. He does not wait for confidence to appear before moving, he moves, and confidence follows. He builds habits that make courage automatic, setting goals, taking steps, reflecting on progress. With each cycle of action, his self-image grows stronger. He becomes the kind of person who faces storms, not the kind who hides from them. Fear promises comfort, but delivers chains. Discipline demands discomfort, but delivers freedom. This is the dividing line. The drifter never understands that the chains he feels are his own obedience to fear. The disciplined man learns that true freedom is on the other side of fear's illusions. Napoleon Hill made the contrast clear: drifters surrender to fear and live lives of quiet desperation, while disciplined individuals master fear and shape their destinies. Which road you take determines not only your future but your identity. One path turns you into a slave of fear, the other transforms you into a master of success. And here lies the tragedy: most people choose the wrong path. They listen to fear. They drift. And because of that choice, they never discover how powerful they truly could have been. Fear is a shadow. It looks large, it feels heavy, but it has no substance. The only thing that gives fear power is your attention. Napoleon Hill taught that fear thrives in idle minds, in those who drift without purpose. The mechanism of fear is simple. When the mind hesitates, fear multiplies. When the mind acts, fear dissolves. Think of fear as darkness in a room. If you sit still, the darkness feels endless. But the moment you strike a match, the darkness cannot resist, it vanishes. Action is that match. It does not take away the existence of fear, but it reveals its weakness. Every step you take forward is a spark that reduces fear's hold. The mechanism works like a chain reaction. Action interrupts fear. When you move, you break the loop of hesitation. The brain cannot focus fully on fear while it is occupied with action. Even a small step, a call, a word spoken, a task begun, snaps the chain of paralysis. Action builds evidence. Fear whispers, "You cannot do this." But each action you complete becomes proof that you can. Evidence stacks against fear, and the more proof you collect, the less convincing fear becomes. Evidence grows confidence. Confidence is not born from thought, it is born from action repeated. As proof accumulates, confidence becomes natural. You no longer ask, "Can I?" You begin to say, "I will." Confidence creates momentum. With confidence, the mind accelerates. Fear loses its grip as forward motion builds. Like a snowball rolling downhill, each act of courage adds weight, speed, and force. Momentum transforms identity. After enough cycles, you no longer see yourself as the fearful man. You see yourself as the one who acts, the one who moves, the one who wins. Fear becomes a visitor, not a ruler. Another way to see it, fear is like a fog on the road. When you stand still, it feels thick, impenetrable. But as you drive forward, the fog parts. Step by step, the path clears. Those who wait for the fog to lift never move. Those who move discover that the fog was never solid, it was only an illusion. This is why Hill emphasized definiteness of purpose. A man with a clear aim is less vulnerable to fear because his mind is occupied with progress. Purpose focuses the will, and focus creates discipline. Discipline then sustains action, even when fear whispers. The cycle reverses, fear feeds drifting, but discipline feeds action, and action starves fear. The right mechanism is not to wait for courage, but to build it. And courage is built by doing the very thing fear tells you to avoid. Each time you obey discipline instead of fear, you strengthen the chain of growth, action, evidence, confidence, momentum, identity, power. Fear is not destroyed in silence. It is destroyed in motion. Killing fear is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice, a discipline that rewires your mind. Napoleon Hill insisted that fear weakens only when confronted again and again with decisive movement. To master fear, you need a system, not a wish. Here are 5 practical steps to apply every single day until courage becomes your natural state. Step 1. Name your fear, break its shadow. Fear thrives in vagueness. It feels infinite when it has no name. Each morning, write down the specific fear that tries to hold you. Is it fear of criticism? Fear of poverty? Fear of failure? Put it on paper. The moment you name fear, it shrinks. It is no longer a faceless monster, it is a problem you can solve. A written fear loses its power because you have dragged it into the light. Step 2. Take one immediate action against it. Hill taught that action kills fear. The key is immediacy. Do not analyze for hours, do not wait for the right time. Each day, choose one step that directly opposes your fear. If you fear speaking, make one call. If you fear rejection, ask one question. If you fear poverty, start one income-building activity. The action does not need to be big, it only needs to be direct. By attacking the fear at its root, you prove to yourself that fear cannot stop you. Step 3. Anchor your action in a fixed time. Fear finds strength in delay. If you leave your action to someday, fear will whisper all day long. Set a fixed time, 9 a.m., noon, or 6 p.m., and anchor your anti-fear action there every day. This trains your mind to expect courage at that hour. The clock becomes your ally. When the time arrives, you act. No negotiation. Over weeks, this habit burns into your identity. I am the person who faces fear daily, on schedule. Step 4. Record your victory, build evidence. Fear argues with feelings. You must argue with facts. Each evening, record the action you took and the result. Keep a notebook or digital log of daily victories. It does not matter how small. The point is to see evidence stacking up, dozens, then hundreds of actions taken in spite of fear. This record becomes a shield. When fear whispers, "You cannot," your evidence book answers, "I already have," many times. Evidence silences fear's lies. Step 5. Reframe fear before sleep. The last thoughts before sleep sink deepest into the subconscious. Do not let fear be the final voice of your day. Each night, rewrite the story of fear in your mind. Say aloud, "Fear is my signal to act. Fear is proof that I am growing. Each day I face fear, I gain more power." This reframing transforms fear from an enemy into a guidepost. Instead of asking, "What should I avoid?" you ask, "What fear should I face tomorrow?" Fear becomes the compass pointing toward growth. Together, these 5 steps form a closed loop. Morning, name the fear. Daytime, act at a fixed hour. Evening, record the victory and reframe the story. This daily cycle keeps fear on the defensive. It has no chance to grow because you confront it 3 times a day, naming, acting, reframing. Napoleon Hill would remind you, fear does not vanish by chance. It vanishes by discipline. Follow these steps, and you will not only weaken fear, you will transform it into fuel. Each day, the same fear that once froze you will now forge you into someone stronger, more decisive, more unstoppable. Fear does not die quietly. The moment you begin to act against it, it resists. It adapts. It hides in new disguises. Napoleon Hill warned that fear is cunning, it will find any crack in your discipline to creep back in. To defeat it, you must recognize its forms and prepare counters as a soldier prepares defenses. Here are the most common resistances you will face and the ways to overcome them. 1. Fear disguised as logic. Fear often dresses itself in reasonable clothing. You will hear your mind say, "It's not the right time." Wait until you have more money. Wait until you feel ready. This is not logic, it is fear's voice in a mask. Logic evaluates risk, fear exaggerates it until no action feels safe. Counter, build a bias for small, immediate action. Instead of waiting for the perfect conditions, ask, what is the smallest step I can take right now? This exposes the lie of not ready. Readiness is built, not found. 2. Fear multiplied by memory. The mind remembers past failures and replays them as warnings. You failed before, you will fail again. Fear uses memory as a whip to keep you still. Counter, reframe memory as training. Write down each past failure and list the lessons it taught. Tell yourself, I did not fail, I trained. Each memory becomes proof that you are stronger now. The whip becomes a weapon in your hand. 3. Fear amplified by imagination. The mind paints vivid pictures of disaster. You see yourself embarrassed, rejected, or ruined. The images feel so real that you freeze. But these images are not reality, they are imagination working against you. Counter, use imagination as a weapon for courage. Each morning, visualize yourself acting boldly and succeeding. See the applause, the opportunity, the wealth. By feeding your mind empowering pictures, you starve fear of its favorite fuel. 4. Fear reinforced by environment. If you surround yourself with fearful voices, friends who say, don't risk it, colleagues who doubt, you absorb their fear as your own. Hill warned that environment shapes the mind as much as thought does. Counter, build a courage environment. Spend time with those who act boldly. Read biographies of men and women who faced fear and won. Join groups that encourage risk-taking and persistence. Replace fearful voices with empowering ones. 5. Fear returning through fatigue. Exhaustion weakens willpower. At the end of the day, fear whispers louder, rest. Don't push. Don't try today. Fatigue is fear's ally. Counter, use discipline to create energy rituals. Exercise, sleep well, eat clean. When your body is strong, your mind is strong. Build routines that restore energy so fear cannot ambush you in weakness. 6. Fear feeding on delay. Every time you say, I'll do it tomorrow, fear grows stronger. Delay is fertilizer for fear. Counter, kill delay with immediacy. Create a rule, if something takes less than 5 minutes, do it now. For larger actions, schedule them for today, not someday. Train your identity around instant response. The law of counteraction. The pattern is clear, fear is not an unstoppable force, it is a pattern of thoughts. And every pattern can be broken with a counter pattern of action. Hill's principle here is timeless, fear is a servant when mastered, a tyrant when obeyed. When resistance rises, it is not a signal to stop, it is proof you are on the right path. Fear will not disappear after one victory. It will test you daily. But with each counter, you grow stronger. And soon, fear no longer rules from the shadows. It becomes what Hill promised it could be, the raw material of courage. Killing fear is not a single strike, it is a campaign. Like a soldier training for war, you must fight daily until courage becomes your nature. Napoleon Hill insisted that fear retreats only under the pressure of repeated, disciplined action. This 30-day plan is your battlefield map. Follow it step by step, and fear will lose its hold. Week 1, Awareness and Naming. Goal, drag fear into the light. Daily practice, each morning, write down one fear that tries to stop you. Be specific: fear of criticism, fear of failure, fear of poverty. Naming the enemy reduces its shadow. Action, take one tiny step each day against that fear. Make a call, speak a sentence, start the task you avoid. Small acts break paralysis. Result, by the end of week 1, you will have a list of fears and 7 victories proving that fear is not absolute. Week 2, Daily Action Anchor. Goal, build consistency and courage. Daily practice, choose one fixed time each day, 9 a.m., lunch, or evening. At that time, perform a specific action against your biggest fear. The clock becomes your ally. Action, set a reminder, and when the alarm rings, act without negotiation. If fear whispers, your discipline answers, the time has come, I move. Result, by the end of week 2, courage will no longer be random, it will be scheduled. Fear cannot dominate a mind that acts on time. Week 3, Raising the Standard. Goal, transform fear from an obstacle into a signal for growth. Daily practice, each day, deliberately choose an action that feels slightly uncomfortable. If fear says, don't, you say, that is exactly what I must do. Action, increase the difficulty, bigger conversations, bolder requests, larger risks. Record each victory in your fear journal. Result, by the end of week 3, fear will become your compass. Wherever it points, you will move, and that movement will expand your power. Week 4, Identity Shift. Goal, cement courage as identity. Daily practice, each evening, reflect on the 21 days behind you. Speak aloud, I am not ruled by fear. I am a man of action. Action, write down one moment each day when you acted despite fear. Read the entire record from week 1 to week 4. See the pattern, fear spoke, you moved, fear shrank. Result, by the end of week 4, you will no longer see yourself as a fearful man. You will see yourself as a disciplined warrior. Fear may visit, but it will no longer command. The 30-day outcome. If you complete this plan, fear will lose its throne in your mind. You will have 30 days of proof that courage can be trained, like muscle, through daily repetition. Hill's law will prove itself in your life. Fear is an illusion sustained by inaction. Action kills fear, and discipline keeps it dead. Fear is not a wall but a shadow, and the moment you act, the shadow vanishes. Napoleon Hill taught that the greatest enemy of success is not failure but hesitation, for fear thrives only when you delay. To create success, you must live this truth daily, name the fear, face it with action, and let discipline turn fear's whispers into the fuel of your power. Speak these words with strength. Let them cut deeper than fear, and let them root themselves in your subconscious. I face my fear with action. Fear is not my master, I am the master. Each time I act, fear dies, and my power grows. I choose courage daily, and success follows me. Say them in the morning to ignite your courage. Say them at night to end your day in victory. Repeat them until they are no longer words but identity. Each time you declare them, you carve fear out of your life and carve success into your destiny. You have faced fear in these words, but the real battle begins now, when the video ends and your life resumes. Napoleon Hill warned that most men nod at truth, agree with wisdom, and then drift back into fear because they never act. Do not let that be you. Here is your challenge: type one phrase in the comments: fear dies when I act. That phrase is not just text, it is your declaration. It is your proof that you are not just a listener but a doer. When you write it, you build accountability. When you read others writing it, you join a movement. And if you are serious about killing fear for good, subscribe now. This channel is your daily training ground, your reminder that courage is built one action at a time. Each episode is a strike against fear, and each strike makes you stronger. Comment. Subscribe. Act. Kill fear today and create success tomorrow. You have seen how fear dies when you act. But courage alone is not enough. What sustains greatness is discipline. Napoleon Hill taught that a man without discipline drifts, but the man who masters discipline shapes his own destiny. In the next episode, you will discover how to discipline today to shape destiny. You will learn why daily discipline is the invisible architect of success, how it forges habits that never break, and how it transforms your future step by step. Do not let this lesson fade. Subscribe now, so when the next chapter arrives, Discipline Today to Shape Destiny, Napoleon Hill, you will be here, ready to claim your future. Because destiny is not written by chance, it is written by discipline. And that writing begins today.